for joining us today from right across all of Northern Ontario. Is very much appreciated. And again, we recognize working together with our other chambers is important to keep our business community informed and up to speed on things such as the program we're about to hear on. So first, I'd just like to begin the event by acknowledging that we are on meeting on the lands that have been inhabited by our Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We are grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection to this place. We also recognize the contributions that all Indigenous peoples have made, both in shaping and strengthening each community represented here, as well as our province and our country. This recognition is also clearly connected to our collective commitment to make the promise and the challenge of truth and reconciliation real in our communities. Again, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Roy Ring, the CEO for the Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce, and I am very pleased to have with us today Becky Charot and Lisa Dupuis from WSIB to talk to us about the Health and Safety Excellence Program. So without further ado, Becky, I will turn things over to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Rory. So good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for taking the time to join us on the line today. We know everyone is very busy. It's a Monday. We're all just kind of getting back into things after a beautiful weekend. So we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today to talk about WSIB's Health and Safety Excellence Program. So I hope everyone's hanging in there as we navigate this third and hopefully final wave of the pandemic and lockdown. I don't know about you, but Lisa and I are super ready to move onwards and upwards out of this and establish whatever our new normal is going to be. We're ready for it. I'm sure everyone shares a similar feeling at this point. So like Rory mentioned, my name is Becky Charot. I am a Health and Safety Excellence Consultant with the WSIB, and I'm going to be delivering today's information session with my colleague, Lisa Dupuis. We are both super excited to be here and thankful to the Sault Ste. Marie Chambers of Commerce for hosting this session, and even more thankful that our other Northern partners in commerce were able to join us on the line today. So I think we may have some representation from Sudbury, North Bay, Timmins, and even Thunder Bay. So we're super excited to collaborate. It's Lisa and I's favorite thing to do, and we're happy that we could all be here to spend this next hour together. So we'll do our formal introductions. As I mentioned already, I'm Becky. I am a Health and Safety Excellence Consultant with the WSIB. Before joining the WSIB just earlier this year, I had been working as a health and safety officer in the healthcare industry for the last 15 years. As most safety professionals can likely relate to, prevention is my passion, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to encourage Northern Ontario employers to make improvements to their health and safety programs and get rewarded for that fantastic work that they're doing. Today on the line, we also have my colleague and friend, Lisa Dupuis. Lisa has the best bio picture ever, and we were just talking about how I need to up my Northern street credit and get a more Northern professional look to me. So I'm going to work on that this summer. But Lisa resides in beautiful Colander, just outside of North Bay, Ontario. Lisa is a Health and Safety Excellence Consultant with the WSIB. She has over 25 years of experience in both the public and private sector. She's a certified disability management professional, a licensed paralegal, and just has the most tremendous knowledge and expertise in the health and safety world. And we're so lucky to have her at the WSIB. So today, just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. This presentation will not go any longer than 1 hour. You can use the Zoom chat function to interact with Lisa and I today, and we would love if you would do that. You can ask us questions, but you'll also be able to use that chat function to answer the questions that Lisa and I have for you today. After this session, we will be sure to send you a copy of our presentation as well as a guide to joining that you can use as reference material after we are done here today. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is use that chat function. And normally we would love to sort of network with you and get to know who you are, but we'll do the best we can in this virtual world and get you to throw in the chat box. Tell us about what industry or sector you are from, as well as how many workers you employ in your workplace. And I'll ask my colleague Lisa to check out the chat box because I can't see it in my mode. So I'll trust that she'll be able to help tell us what's going on there.
Absolutely, Becky. I've got already nonprofit sector with 3 employees. Someone's put in there. And I guess the reason is we're trying to gauge and custom, if you will, customize this presentation a little bit, knowing what sectors you might be in, as well as how many employees and the size of your firm. We have healthcare, social services, about 200 employees. From Susan and Derek indicated trades with 28 employees. We also have a restaurant, bar, bowling, billiards, 20 employees. Wow, nice variety. Industrial sales with 40. Manufacturing with over 260, Becky. And
Wow.
forestry, paper, printing, converting, and mining. Resource sector. Oh, our Workplace Safety North, one of our providers, is on with us. So that's great. Thank you very much for that. And nonprofit sector, social services, service contract with over 20 childcare centers.
Wow. Okay.
Those are great response. Yeah, quite a variety, Becky.
Great. Thanks so much for doing that. It helps us just to connect a little bit better with you today and helps, like Lisa said, us understand what your priorities might be. So thank you for responding, and what a fantastic array of businesses. So we're really excited to have you all with us today. So this presentation is going to cover 3 basic topics. We are going to, first of all, review the many reasons why it makes great business sense to invest in health and safety in your workplace. And this will ensure that after today's session, you have the tools that you need to essentially make a business case to join us in the Health and Safety Excellence Program. Then we're going to talk about what participation in the Excellence Program looks like, including how to calculate your potential rebate, which I think is a point of interest for most people when they're talking with Lisa and I. And then finally, because we are navigating this global pandemic, we'd be remiss not to talk about how this program can be leveraged to help you address these emerging issues that we're facing as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And never before in our lifetime has there been one singular hazard that has the potential to impact and devastate business operations on a global scale. I mean, we all understand, I think at this point, the need to have good safety programming in place in order to continue operating as a business and to make sure our workers and clients are safe. So I find employers are really primed to receive this message as we go through the pandemic, because we understand the value in having a good health and safety strategy. Because at this point, if you don't, you can't open your doors or keep them open if they are already. So that's great. Okay, so we're going to start with one more question before we dive in. So tell us in that chat box there, why is health and safety important to your business? What is a good health and safety program going to do for you as a business? And I'll ask Lisa again to let me know if we get any responses in there, or if she can even tell me what her thoughts are on this.
I'm sure we will get lots of responses, Becky. But I think for, under this new normal, health and safety is important for all our traditional reasons of wanting to keep everyone safe and going home at the end of the day. But there are so many new reasons as well. Obviously, the safety plans that you were mentioning through the Ministry of Labor, the requirements. Just trying to think some of the other new normals. It's just this overall sense of well-being, your reputation, your business reputation. Even clients and investors are looking at that now. What have you got in place? Safety of employees and clients. Yeah, thank you very much, Shannon, for that. See if we get any more here in the next minute. Oh, here's a good one. Keeping everybody, including customers and employees, comfortable and safe, and keeping our doors open. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. That's great.
Those summarize the reasons pretty well.
Good.
Good.
Awesome. Okay, so those are definitely all great reasons, or great reasons why health and safety programming is important. And if you've chosen to attend this webinar today, chances are you already understand many of the benefits of investing in health and safety, and that's why you've landed here. So we'll quickly recap some of those reasons to invest in health and safety. And again, those are takeaways that you can use to help make a business case for participating in the program. So we know, and studies continue to demonstrate, that it makes great business sense to invest in safety. And some studies show that for every dollar you invest in safety, you will experience even more, sometimes a twofold return on investment. And sometimes studies are showing that it's even more. In addition to those financial rewards, companies that invest in safety are also going to see improvements in employee absenteeism. They'll reduce employee turnover, increase engagement, and better all sorts of other indicators of employee well-being. And basically what that points to is that people want to work for organizations that care about them. And investing in their health and safety, creating a safe and comfortable place for them to work, is one of the best ways that you can do that. And then ultimately, the most important reason to invest is because we want to do the right thing, and it is the right thing to do. We have a moral responsibility to protect our people. We want to make sure that we're sending our people home healthy, happy, and safe, and in the same condition in which they came to us that day. And this is the real reason why we do what we do. I know it's why I'm committed to my work here at WSIB, because I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can reasonably to help make sure every worker goes home at the end of their shift happy, well, and safe. There's nothing more sobering in my job, and Lisa can attest to this too. We get notified every time there's a fatality claim registered with the WSIB. So every time one of those claims is set up, we corporately receive a notification of that. And it's so grounding, and it really reminds us of the reason why we show up to work every day. And I think we can all agree that we would do everything we could to make sure we never get any more of those notifications. Okay, so another way to look at the case for investing in safety is to look at what happens when we don't invest in safety. So clearly there's many consequences when we're not making safety a priority. And one of the main ones is increased rates of injury and illness. And this in itself can lead to fines, penalties, increased premium rates. You could have litigation costs if you're actually charged by the Ministry of Labor, Training, Skills, and Development. Such a mouthful. I'm trying to wrap my mind around, wrap my mouth around that new Ministry of Labor title. So we'll call it the MLTSD from here on out, but that's what it stands for if I use that again. So if you're charged by them, you're going to have to pay legal fees to deal with that, either plead to those charges or fight those charges. It's very expensive. There are additional costs associated with accommodating workers that are injured, and not to mention those disruptions to your operations. A lack of safety has also shown to result in poor workplace culture and low employee morale. And not to mention, and I think we've mentioned this already, your reputation is at stake. No one wants negative publicity and media attention because your workers are being hurt and injured on the job. This can negatively impact your reputation and brand. And haven't we seen that and continue to see it on the daily with COVID-19? Employers are regularly called out in the media for poor safety practices that ultimately are leading to or can lead to increases of worker illness. So super important. Another way to make a look at the case for investing, take a look at your organization's specific safety performance and see how improvements to your health and safety programming can reduce the rates of injuries and illnesses and reduce your premiums and costs associated with those injuries and illnesses. So here on the slide, you'll see a snapshot of one of WSIB's great online tools, which is called Compass. So it's a great dashboard. You log in through online services. It'll take you to this dashboard that is basically like a little report card or snapshot summary of your WSIB performance. So you're going to be able to dig in there and see what you're paying in terms of premiums, what types of injuries and illnesses or claims you are having or perhaps not having. And then another thing I want to point out, something we're going to talk about a little bit later, you'll see that we have a predictability rating and it's expressed as a percentage. So on this slide, it says 100%. That's something that we're actually going to use later on in the presentation to calculate your potential rebate. So we'll just bookmark that for now. But this is a great online tool. Lots of WSIB resources have moved online during the course of the pandemic. So that is fantastic news. We're moving into the 21st century, which is great. So if you haven't signed up for online services, please be sure to do that by visiting our website, and you can access the scorecard. So another reason to invest, together we can influence our rates and our premiums. So obviously you investing in safety in your workplace will positively impact your workplace, but it can also positively impact your overall rate class and contribute to lowering premiums for all organizations in your rate class. So ultimately, if the more employers we get in this program, making improvements, reducing injury rates, and keeping workers safe, though it has the potential to lower the overall premiums that employers pay. So that's great news. I love this slide, and actually this slide is very relevant because we have such an array of employers on the line. So you can see that the average Schedule I lost time injury rate in the province of Ontario for last year was 0.98. And then you can see in each industry here, we have transportation, agriculture, municipal, healthcare, construction. You can see how all of these industries really sit quite a bit above that provincial average. So it's something to keep in your back pocket, a little note that basically shows that there are industries, whole entire industries, that certainly have an opportunity to engage in this program and make some real improvements to not only their programs, but to the sector and industry rates as a whole. So here's the great news. So those are all fantastic reasons for investing in health and safety. And the good news is that WSIB's new Health and Safety Excellence Program is really designed to give you a framework as well as tools and supports that you can use to improve your programming. So we're telling you how great it is to do that. Now we want to give you tools to actually get that work done. And that's what the Health and Safety Excellence Program is about. So participation in the program will give you additional financial returns in the form of rebates on the premiums you paid to WSIB, and we'll calculate those a little bit later today. And when you lower your injury rates or prevent them from happening altogether, this can reduce your overall premium costs. Now, I do want to point out that there is a bit of a difference between Schedule I and Schedule II employers' eligibility for rebates. So if you're Schedule I, you are eligible for that rebate because you pay premiums to us at WSIB. If you're Schedule II, you're not eligible for the rebate, but you can still enroll in the program and capitalize on the benefits of using our health and safety management system support from providers in order to create a fantastic health and safety system that actually prevents claims from happening, period, which is great news. So sometimes Schedule II people think, or firms think, that there's not really a benefit if you're not going to get a rebate. But in fact, with every claim you prevent, that's money that stays in your pocket. So it makes great sense for those firms as well. And then finally, you're ultimately going to be able to strengthen your brand as a safe employer, which is going to set you apart from your peers. And don't we all want to, make sure that our businesses are branded as healthy and safe businesses? We can show people we're doing everything we can to keep our clients and people safe. So one more question before we dive into the details of the program. So this question here, what is your top health and safety challenges? And we provided you with some potential answers there. So just throw into that chat box what your top health and safety challenges are. So is it meeting legislative requirements? Is it the cost and time to implement safety programming, perhaps the lack of tools? And I'll ask Lisa there to let me know if anything's coming up.
Yeah, and Becky, I've often said to employers, this can be post-COVID or pre, because those challenges may definitely have shifted. But you can put in more than one letter into the chat. You can just put in a letter if you'd like. But definitely, these are some of the common ones that we were hearing from employers, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
I know I
It's
moved to employee involvement when I was in private business. To get the employees to buy in was a challenge.
Yeah. And I came from healthcare, and in healthcare, of course, cost is definitely a barrier, as well as competing priorities. Sometimes employee involvement too, because, you know, everyone's so busy and we're focusing on patients and clients. And yeah, those are all big challenges to overcome.
So what we're hearing from the employers on the call, on the line, are service providers not understanding their obligations. So your suppliers, I take that that's what they mean by service providers, not knowing their obligations under the Occupational Health and Safety Act. So your supply chain, yes, also needs to be fully aware of what their obligations are and make sure that they have their health and safety programs up to snuff, if you will. And another employer indicated F, employee involvement.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Lisa now, and she's going to talk about the basics of the Health and Safety Excellence Program.
Thanks, Becky. So the way we've designed the program is obviously, as Becky alluded to in the beginning, it's a program that is recognized by the MLTSD. We thought that that was really important, that it be, you know, where you're not creating multiple binders for different health and safety programs. We want one binder. We don't want it in the corner collecting dust. This is meant to be living and breathing. So you write the standard for whatever topics you want to work on that are most appropriate for you, but you write them once and they apply and will be acknowledged and accredited and recognized by the Ministry of Labor. So that we thought was really important. And we wanted to make sure that in creating this program that we were able to develop something that was going to appeal to employers of all sizes and no matter where you're at in your journey in health and safety. So if you're just getting started, we have the foundation topics. Those are going to help you lay the groundwork to ensure that you've got the minimum requirements that are legislated met. So if that's where you're at, and we'll look at what those topics are in the next slide. But if that's where you're at, this is a great level for you to start at. You may have already got some of your health and safety program in place. So we've got an additional 17 topics for those of you at the intermediate level and 9 for those of you who may have a management system in place. Those are larger organizations. You may have dedicated health and safety resources, and you've been at this for some time, so you've got a system that's working for you. We have topics for you even. And we also, for the advanced members or employers, we also have a roadmap that we can provide for you following this that really highlights how you're also able to align our program with ISO 45001, or if you're looking at going for CORE, or you already have CORE 2020, these will all kind of fit along the same roadmap and lead you to excellence and being recognized by the Ministry of Labor. So let's look at what those topics are. We've got in the foundations, I won't go through each of them, but the leadership and commitment is the topic you would choose if, say, you have a health and safety policy, but maybe you haven't really laid out all of the responsibilities. There might be an opportunity for you. If it's not fully implemented, you would work with your provider, and that's a word that Becky will speak to again in the future in some of the slides coming up, but you would work with an approved provider and they would help you determine which topics might be the best fit for you based on where you have gaps in your health and safety program or opportunities that you've been looking at trying to fulfill and or work on. The one I want to highlight for you in the foundations is the control of hazards. This topic deserves a gold star. It is the one topic amongst all 36 that we have in our program whereby you can choose it as many times as you want for every new hazard that you identify in your workplace. So I'll clarify that. COVID-19 is a new hazard in the workplace. This would be a topic you would select, control of hazards, COVID-19, to tell us about all the various control measures that you've been putting into place, you've been implementing, rolling out, making living and breathing in your workplace over the past year, year and a half. We want to hear about the great work you've been doing to keep everyone safe from both the public, your employees, investors, you name it, suppliers. This is a great topic. You may also have recognized control of hazards, maybe as you may have a new hazard that's popped up. Let's say you've opened up a new division of your business to align or help you deal with COVID. Maybe you've even retooled one of your existing operations, and you might also then have come up with a new hazard that's presenting itself that you haven't had a chance to mitigate and or put controls in place. This would be a great topic for you to choose for one of those. And then of course, we've got some of the other foundation topics, including first aid, how to investigate incidences, how to put together a procedure when it comes to reporting of injuries, illnesses, and incidences in your workplace. So again, your provider will help you select the topics that are best fitting for you. And the one thing I want to mention here is that you can choose up to 5 topics to work on in a given 12-month period. So we don't have a start date for our program. You can start whenever you want. Maybe this is a great time of year. Maybe it's slower right now. So maybe this is a great time for you to register and work with a provider and choose some topics to start. But you will have 12 months to roll them out and then provide us with some information to validate that the topic is implemented. In the intermediate level, we have one I really want to speak to, which is the workplace health promotion topic. This is a great topic for employers to tell us about the great health and safety or HR initiatives they put in place to keep everyone mentally doing well. So anything that you're doing to help check in with your employees if they're working remotely, the fact that you are even offering remote work is a great way to promote workplace health. You may have incorporated a new employee assistance program, some other hotlines or resources that you're providing to your employees to help them manage financially, perhaps if you've had to lay anyone off. So this is a really great topic whereby you can demonstrate and tell us about all these great initiatives that you've put in place over the past year, year and a half, and or that you would like to start. So that's the other way to choose topics, is that maybe you haven't even started, but you see this as a great opportunity or something you'd like to work on. And of course, we have some recommended bundles, including emergency prevention, preparedness, and response. Now, these topics, you don't need to select them at the same time and work on them at the same time. However, they kind of go hand in hand. They are recognized as individual topics, so they're each eligible for their own financial rebate, but it makes sense if you're going to work on the prevention piece that you would then want to work on the response piece. And under advanced, we have, I just want to go to my next slide. The corporate social responsibility topic deserves the big heart. Becky and I love this one. A lot of employers are choosing this topic to work on to demonstrate some of the initiatives that they have going on to demonstrate that maybe there's a program of inclusivity or cultural diversity in your workplace. Maybe it's gender equality in your HR practices or in your hiring. This is a great topic for employers to tell us about some of the new HR initiatives and or if you're wanting to incorporate some of those. And we also have employers choosing this topic to tell us about how they're getting involved in the community. COVID-19 has definitely provided employers and employees alike such a great opportunity to get involved with other members of your community to strengthen individuals as well as groups and each other. So we'd love to hear if you are funding time off for your employees to maybe get involved with a nonprofit organization in your community, Habitat for Humanity, a local food drive, what have you. Corporate social responsibility, we see as a very important health and safety topic because it will lead to trust, and with trust you get buy-in. And when you get buy-in, then you've got involvement and you've got just that safety culture whereby everybody wants to take part and feel like they are a collective. So again, it's part of building that community, that family within your workplace. And we see that as a definite health and safety goal that is to be definitely deserves to be recognized, both financially and non-financially. And I think that's it for the topics. Becky, yeah, perfect. So as I mentioned early on, we do have a guide and Becky will be sending out the guide to enrollment, but this other guide is one that you would work with your provider once you choose one to work with. And I say provider, I mean a health and safety expert. and they would help you select your topics that you would like to work on over the course of the 12 months. And we have different eligibility criteria to determine if this is a topic you can work on. Because we do get a lot of employers saying, well, I've already got that in place. Can I choose it again and make it better? And there are certain criteria whereby you could choose an existing topic that you've maybe worked on in the past to make it better. But we do have some very specific guidelines that you would have that conversation with that provider and tell them about why you might want to select a topic that perhaps was kind of living and breathing or not fully rolled out or implemented, and why it would be important for you. And they'll kind of guide you in the right direction and advise you as to whether that would be eligible to choose or not eligible, okay? We'd like to just very quickly highlight, I guess if you will, or put the spotlight on this COVID-19 pandemic. There are several topics. There's that control of hazards one that I spoke to, but there are other topics that we have within our program that also speak to COVID-19, and we'd love to hear about some of the controls that you're putting in place. These other ones, including risk assessment, emergency prevention, emergency response, and workplace health promotion. These ones we also ask, however, that you identify other risks, other hazards that you have done a risk assessment for. So not just COVID. Emergency prevention response, we'd like to know about the other emergency situations that you are or that you will be looking to prevent and creating a response program for. And the same goes with workplace health promotion. Yes, we want to hear about your COVID-19 initiatives, but we do also have some requirements for those other topics whereby we want to see what else that you are doing in other aspects of your business to assess risks, to prevent other types of emergencies and promote health and well-being in other areas other than just COVID-19. But yeah, definitely the control of hazards is our most popular topic this year. And it's pretty easy to, once you have that conversation with your provider, to be able to demonstrate all the great work that you're doing to keep everyone safe and the controls that you're putting in place. And we're going to now look at the 4 steps. So this is going to describe to you in 4 easy steps how easy it is to join the program. And then Becky will come back on to speak to you more about the rebate calculations and the non-financial recognition piece. So in step 1, which is join, the whole idea, the premise of this is that you would choose a provider. And these approved providers are health and safety expert companies that we at WSIB have been working with either in the past. Some of them are new, but we have a number of them. And in the North, we have approximately, I would say, between 6 and 8 who have consultants in the North, boots on the ground. They know your industry, they know your sector, and they know your geography. So those are definitely providers that Becky and I could help steer you and give you contact information for, especially if you're interested in any of the ones that are in the North specifically. In that guide to joining that Becky's going to send out, it will list all of our various providers, the sectors that they have specialization in, where they're located physically in the province. And so that guide will really help you. Oh, there you go. Thank you very much, Becky. I forgot we had this one. So this one is great, this slide, because it really does kind of, and you'll see it when Becky sends you the slide deck following the webinar. You'll be able to look at this information on your own as well. But again, the geography, that's important, or knowing that you've got a consultant and a provider you're working with who understands your industry. We also have different providers that offer different types of services and different levels of support. For instance, if you're a small business, you may want more one-on-one with your provider. You may need a little bit, you may need more regular meetings with them. And so different providers will outline in their profiles the levels of support that they offer, the types of services, where they're located, et cetera, and as well the cost to join. And the cost to join, Becky will speak to this a little bit later with the rebates, but just keep in mind that our provider fees are very minimal, very nominal when it comes to the overall calculation of the rebate and what you will profit net, if you will, once you pay this registration fee to your provider. So that's not to be a concern with. And I guess next slide, please. Yeah, so once you join and you select a provider to work with, they'll have you complete this very quick online assessment That's just to get an opportunity to see where you're at in your health and safety journey. And it will also help you and the provider select between 1 and 5 topics for your action plan to work on. And we also have a culture survey that is optional that you can also complete and use as a baseline to find out what your employees' perception of health and safety is in your workplace. So this culture survey, as we mentioned, is optional. It is not mandatory. It's a great snapshot. It's a great way to find out some of the leading indicators. So not waiting for an injury or an incident to happen, but providing you with the upfront information to find out how your employees are feeling, thereby giving you leading indicators so that you can prevent those incidences and or injuries from happening. And then what happens, because it's it's anonymous, we will collate the results from those surveys and send them to you as the owner operator. And you'll be able to then look at the various categories and the measures and use those as opportunities for evaluating the topics that you're going to be working on this year. So it's a great evaluation piece when you're wanting to measure how well did we do when we rolled out these new topics in the Excellence Program. This culture survey and those results are another great opportunity for you to use those as pieces of evidence for that validation I was speaking to briefly. So once you have joined with your provider, you're going to complete the topics that you selected. And again, you have between 1 and 5 to choose from. So if you find you choose 5 topics at the beginning and halfway through that 12-month period, something comes up, or maybe your business just gets so busy, and I really hope that's the case for everybody out there. But let's say you don't have the opportunity to complete all 5, you can certainly defer some of the topics to a future year and just complete as many as you can without any financial repercussion. So again, you can choose up to 5, but if you find throughout that 12-month period you're not able to complete all 5, that's fine. You would just let your provider know and submit the ones that you have been able to implement in that 12-month period and defer the other ones till the next year. So once you have completed or implemented the topics in your workplace, and we love to use the phrase living and breathing, and living and breathing by no means doesn't mean that things are perfect. It means that you have communicated, you have trained, you have evaluated how well things are going now that you've got this new procedure in place and protocols, and are people following them, or are you having to kind of follow up with people? That's the evaluation stage. And then we want to find out, how are you acknowledging the great success when you have implemented a topic and it is going well? How are you then making any continuous improvement pieces is the other piece. So those are all the aspects of living and breathing or rolling out or implementing a topic. And once you've done that, we ask that you submit some pieces of evidence to WSIB for a validation. And our validators would review that evidence, and they're the ones that would determine if you have successfully completed the topics. So when I say validation, it is not an audit. We are just looking for some different pieces, and you don't have to be concerned or worry. Your provider is well aware of what pieces will be the best pieces for you to submit, and they'll guide you along the way in ensuring that you are submitting and completing the proper pieces of evidence to submit to the WSIB to ensure that you are successful in the program. If, however, there is an opportunity for the WSIB validator to want to see more information, then they'll give you 60 days. They'll identify that in a letter and give you another 60 calendar days to provide us with additional information. So again, there's lots of opportunity to be successful in the program and to have your topics deemed complete. So, and this is where Becky's going to take over and tell you all about the great rebates and also the non-financial recognition piece. So take it away, Becky.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for that overview.
Thank
So
you.
I just wanted to touch on a couple of common questions we get about providers specifically. We get this question a lot: do I need to use a provider to join the program? And the answer is yes, it is mandatory, and it's also in your best interest. So like Lisa mentioned, they are a guide through the program. They are going to help you select topics. They're going to help you stay on track while you're implementing those topics. And then they're going to review your work before you submit it to us for review to make sure that it's complete. So it is such a worthwhile investment. And like Lisa said, the value for the money that you pay is extraordinary. And I do want to acknowledge that I think WSN, or Workplace Safety North, is on the line. They joined us today. They are one of the providers, one of the 30 approved providers we have here at WSIB. And so we're really thankful that they could join in on the call today. And I'm sure that, they would be happy to help you if you're interested in joining. And there are the rest of the associations, safe work associations, who are approved providers as well. And you can consider sort of all those things Lisa mentioned about when you want to select a provider, things you might want to think about. And one of them is cost. And just to give you an idea of the financial ballpark there, providers charge anywhere between $650 for the year up to $2,500 for the year. And it varies based on the size of your firm or the amount of premiums that you pay. So there's quite a spectrum. There's lots of information to consider, but that's where myself and Lisa come in. We're so happy to talk with you afterwards if you want to help us narrow down a provider that would work best for you in your business model. Okay, so we're going to move on to Achieve, which is usually the moment we've all been waiting for. So please tell me about my rebate and what that looks like. So step 4 is Achieve. So once all your topics have been submitted to WSIB and have been validated and marked complete, you will receive a rebate for each of those topics. So there is some good news here. This program is meant to be so flexible. So we don't have one rebate run during the year. We actually have 4 different rebate runs, and you can submit topics as you complete them. So if you're done one in March, you can submit in March and then continue working through the year on different topics and submit as they're complete. So you can start to get your rebate back in. You don't have to wait till the very end when everything's done. So again, it's super flexible and is meant to work with employers and the work they're doing. So let's talk about rebates. So like I said, for every topic you successfully implement, you'll receive a rebate on your prior year's premiums that you paid to WSIB. So to calculate your rebate, you need 3 basic pieces of information. The first is your prior year's premiums. So right now we're looking at 2020 premiums paid. So you can look on your statement and find that information. And then the second is you need to know what your firm's predictability rating is. Now, we could probably go on for a couple hours on how predictability rates are calculated, but all you need to know for right now is that it's a tool we use to assess the potential impact you can have on your premium. Generally, general rule of thumb is if you're a large organization, you're going to have a higher predictability rate, and that means you're going to earn 1.4% per topic back. If you are a smaller firm with a lower predictability rate, you are going to earn back 2% per topic. So that's sort of, you need to decide which category you fall in. And the way that you do that is you can use that online tool Compass, which I showed you earlier, and it will actually show you your predictability rating. Now, if you're like me, this is a lot of information to absorb. So if you need a helping hand, again, Lisa and I are here. We can help you calculate your potential rebate quite easily. We know our way through the WSIB system and tools. So if you need assistance, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to help. So you can see on the slide here that we gave you 2 examples of different companies and what their potential rebate would look like. So ABC Limited is a smaller company, so they only paid about $7,000 in premium. So they landed themselves with a predictability rating of 2% back per topic. They chose 5 topics to complete. So that earns them $5,000. Now you're doing the math in your head thinking that doesn't really line up. Well, it doesn't, you're right, because we've actually implemented a very generous minimum rebate floor, which is $1,000 per topic. Now the catch to that is, let's say you're a really small micro firm and you've only paid, say, $1,000 to WSIB last year, we can only give you back 75% of your premium. So that small firm who paid $1,000 total, they can enroll in the program, they can participate, but the most they can get back in a rebate is 75% of the total premiums they paid. Okay, but once you start getting up into the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 range, then you're going to see that minimum floor, sorry, $6,000, $7,000 range. You're going to see that minimum floor kick in, and it's a fantastic return on investment. When we look at larger firms, so we have an example there for XYZ Inc. You can see they are larger because they paid over $200,000 in premiums last year, and they find themselves at that 1.4% predictability rate. They chose 5 topics. That equals a $14,000 rebate. Okay, so we do have a rebate cap for our larger firms. It's $50,000 per topic, which ends up being a potential of a max of $250,000 a year. But to be perfectly honest, these rebates are very generous. If you're familiar with any of our legacy or historical programs, these rebates are better. The program is super flexible, and it's really designed to work with you and reward you for that work. So here's an example of the non-financial public recognition that you can get when you enroll in the program. So we deliver badges to organizations. So you get a badge when you sign up, and this badge will actually be loaded immediately onto our other website, which is called Safety Check. And you may not have heard of this, and if you haven't, I encourage you just to Google WSIB Safety Check. It brings you to a tool where you can type in the name of any business or organization in the province of Ontario, type in their name and hit enter, and bam, you will see that organization's safety performance report card, basically. Now, of course, there's no confidential information in there, but you can definitely see how an employer is doing from a safety perspective. So that badge will get loaded in there, and people will be able to see that you are enrolled in the program. Now, you can also take those badges and do as other companies have done, where they're adding it to their email signatures, they're adding it to their company letterhead, they have put decals on company vehicles, and just 2 weeks ago, I think I heard that a construction company was getting them printed and putting them on all their hard hats. And it's just a great visual reminder for people to see, hey, safety is important to us. We are part of the excellence program. We're doing everything we can to be the safest employer possible. So it's a super great idea. Storefronts, actually, I don't think I mentioned storefronts, but that's another great way that people are showing on their storefront their commitment to safety. So nice little tools and takeaways. Okay, so that's the bulk of the program. Before we move on to summarizing today's information, I do want to point out that there are over 2,200 employers registered in the Health and Safety Excellence Program. And this program is only a little bit over a year old, so that's pretty fantastic. And that number is growing every single day, even in the middle of a global pandemic. I think actually we've had over 930 employers who have joined during the pandemic. So you can see, obviously, that this program works to address, this emerging infectious disease threat, and also give employers a framework to continue to make investments, even though the pandemic is going on. Because if we could be honest, safety doesn't, other hazards don't stop just because we're dealing with COVID-19. Your safety program still needs to live on and be effective in order to protect your people. So far, we have we have delivered, given over $3 million now in rebates in just a little over a year. So that is amazing. And we would be so happy to have you in the program and give you some of that, a piece of that pie. So before we wrap up, I'm just going to show you quickly an example of 3 different employers who actually were able to leverage this program during the pandemic and be successful. And they're all very different. So the first is Ellis Dawn. You may have heard of them. They're a very large construction firm. And what's exceptional to note about Ellis Dawn is that they're quite advanced in their health and safety journey. So they're not new to safety. They have had a program in place for a long time. And they were still able to find space in this program to develop their health and safety management system even further to align with WSIB's Health and Safety Excellence Program, but also to align them with additional accreditation work that they're doing. So they're looking to achieve Core 2020 accreditation, and I don't want to speak for Ellis Don, but I'm sure they probably have their eye on accreditation through the Ministry of Labor, Training, Skills and Development, knowing them. So they're very safety conscious, and they're still able to find room in this program to be successful and to brush up their safety initiatives. Next, we have the City of Markham, which is an example of a municipal employer. So it's a very municipal organizations deal with an array of different hazards across all different service lines and staff areas. So they've got complex issues, or a complex number of issues, we should say. So they were really able to leverage this program to help them deal with the hazards associated with COVID-19 and also brush up some of their basic health and safety programming. And then our last example here is a small business health and safety, or a small business. Brick & Co. Restorations is a small construction business, and they are actually the winners of our Health and Safety Leadership Award last year. So they're a fantastic company, and they have been able to do some great work and great improvements to their health and safety programming as a result of participation here. And there is a little link, so when I send you the slide deck, you can follow that link and it'll take you to a video where they attest to their experience in the program and how much it's really helped them as a small business to make improvements to keep their staff happy, healthy, and safe. Okay, so summary and next steps here. So to wrap things up, this program will help you improve upon and continue to build your health and safety program, and we want to reward you for your efforts. So I don't know how many other programs are out there offering that type of incentive, but we want you to achieve that, and we're willing to back you as you do it. You will get support from an approved provider that's going to guide you through the program in making these changes and improvements. You will get access to numerous resources, including that free culture assessment that Lisa was telling you about, that's going to help you assess how your workers perceive health and safety in your workplace and help you narrow in on areas you might need to focus on. This program is meant to be super flexible and work for you. It's not meant to be a make work project. We really want to find ways to come alongside the work you already need to be doing, and again, reward you for your progress. You can work at your own pace, like we mentioned earlier. And again, our goal in this is not to penalize employers for anything. The goal of this program is to be supportive and to help foster success in health and safety amongst all employers in Ontario. And then last but not least, if you're interested or aspiring to achieving other accreditations such as ISO 45001 or accreditation through the Ministry of Labor, Training, Skills and Development, this program is a great stepping stone to help line you up in order to be able to do that. So like I mentioned earlier, we will send you a copy of this deck and the guide to joining. And we, myself and Lisa, are available to you to help calculate rebates, to help you narrow down that list of providers. If you would like some additional one-on-one support as you explore participation in the program, or sometimes we get requests from organizations that ask us to deliver a similar presentation, perhaps to the Joint Health and Safety Committee or your senior leadership team or your management group to help create that business case to participate. We're more than happy to do that, so please just let us know. You'll find our contact information in the slide deck. It's both at the beginning and the end here. You've got our email addresses and phone numbers. And ultimately, we would be so happy if you would join us in the program and the 2,000 other plus employers in Ontario that are currently participating or letting us come alongside their health and safety journey. So that is it for me, and we have a couple minutes left here. So I have one more slide, I lied. So we'll open this up twofold here. If you can drop in the chat, just let us know how interested, after hearing everything you've heard today, does this sound good to you? Does this sound like something that would be helpful? How interested in you are you in becoming a Health and Safety Excellence Program member? So drop that in the chat. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to put that in the chat. Lisa and I can hang out for a few minutes. We're happy to answer those questions. Thanks again for your time today. It's a pleasure. I wish we were in a room together, connecting and seeing each other physically, but you know, we'll take this for now, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today. So thank you. How's the chat going, Lisa?
Yeah.
Anything in there?
Yeah, great responses. I've got 3 A's.
Oh, great. Awesome.
This is
Good.
wonderful. And it may be that you're just, yeah, some employers are very interested. You're just not sure. You may have to take it back, process some of this information, bring it forward, as Becky said, to your management and or joint health and safety committees. And again, take the time, reach out to Becky and or I would be more than happy to facilitate any further information sessions or clarify any questions you may have. One thing that while we're waiting for a couple of more responses is I didn't acknowledge the fact that you can work on topics from any of the 3 levels. So you don't have to choose all your topics from the foundation level or intermediate. You can pick and choose from the 3 different levels. That's perfectly okay. And again, that's a conversation with your approved provider to have, but certainly we want to meet you where you're at as a business. So we're not tying you down to having to select from a certain level. So I thought I should clarify that. And I think that's all we've got for responses, and I don't see any questions, Becky. Great job.
Okay, great. Thanks for helping me out today. And thanks again to the Sault Ste. Marie Chambers of Commerce, Rory and Dawn. Thanks so much for having us. This is a great opportunity, and we look forward to collaborating again in the future.
That's great. Thank you very much, Becky, Lisa, for joining us. That was a lot of information.
It is.
So we will be sure that you're connected to the attendees today with their email addresses, and I think that would be fine for everybody. If it's not, please just reach out to me directly. I did provide Mike LeMay's contact information for those of us in Sault Ste. Marie and the representation from Workplace Safety North. And we know that you can go, I think Tom had mentioned, you can go to the website and find your local representative through the website there. So thanks very much. I know locally Insight Technologies has expressed an interest. So, you know, it's fantastic to see that there's some immediate lift. And we will be sending out the recording of this session so that you can refer back to it. And then Becky and Lisa will supply the slide deck for reference material as well. So we should be all set for you to delve into a lot of this information in greater detail and connect with the representative in your service area. So again, Becky, Lisa, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And to my fellow Northern Chambers, thank you very much for co-branding with us today and getting this knowledge out into Northern Ontario.
Yep.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you. Don't let the black flies take you away, anyone. Bye.